you're rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots, and a sexy body full of tats.
Following a dramatic race at the 2025 Australian GP, Pramac Yamaha rider Jack Miller finally spoke out about his incident. Miller, who competed in front of thousands of home fans at Phillip Island, suffered a painful crash mid-race. Meanwhile, his teammate Fabio Quartararo was also unable to do much. Fabio fell far behind the front group and appeared to struggle to keep up with the pace of his Ducati, KTM, and Aprilia rivals. This situation has once again brought Yamaha into the spotlight, particularly regarding the 2025 version of the M1, which still uses an inline engine. Jack Miller, known for his outspokenness, couldn't hold back his disappointment after the race. He emphasized that the current M1's performance isn't competitive enough, especially on the straights and in acceleration. "I tried my best, but the bike suddenly lost grip. It felt strange, even though we'd been changing the setup since morning. Honestly, we need to make big steps, and I believe the V4 engine is the future for Yamaha," Miller asserted firmly in the paddock. Miller also added that Yamaha's V4 engine project, currently being tested for 2026, must be accelerated, as the current lead over rival teams is already too great. If Yamaha wants to return to the top, they have to be brave enough to change. A V4 engine isn't just about power, but also stability and feeling in fast corners. "That's what's currently lacking," he added. With these outspoken comments, Miller seemed to send a strong message to Yamaha's top brass. Without major innovation, it will be difficult to compete in the increasingly competitive modern MotoGP era. Now, the public awaits Yamaha's next move, to see if they will truly listen to the home rider, who speaks honestly for the future of the blue team. And here's the full news. The 2025 Australian MotoGP race at the Phillip Island circuit was an emotional weekend for Pramac Yamaha rider Jack Miller. In front of thousands of fans packed into the stands, Miller performed with enthusiasm from the start. However, the high hopes of his home crowd turned into deep disappointment after he suffered a sudden crash mid-race. Miller, who had been at the front of the pack, appeared to lose control on the fast corner leading to Lukey Heights. His Yamaha M1 suddenly lost rear grip, sending him flying off the track without warning. The moment left the entire crowd breathless, especially since Miller had shown great promise all weekend, even setting a competitive time in practice. Meanwhile, his teammate, Fabio Quartararo, also had a difficult race. Quartararo struggled to maintain his position in the pack, but remained far behind the Ducati, KTM, and Aprilia riders. The Yamaha M1 speed was again questioned, particularly in acceleration and top speed, which have been major weaknesses for the past few seasons. After the race, Jack Miller appeared disappointed, but he didn't hide his frustration with the bike's performance. In an interview in the paddock, Miller spoke loudly and honestly, expressing his feelings as a rider directly on the track. "I gave it my all on the track, but the bike suddenly lost traction. We even changed the settings this morning to make it more stable in the fast corners. But the result was still the same. The bike was too soft at the bottom end, and that made me lose confidence," Miller said, sounding disappointed. Miller didn't stop there, emphasizing that Yamaha couldn't continue with inline-4 engines. He firmly stated that Yamaha's future in MotoGP could only be secured with a V4 configuration engine, which they are currently developing for the 2026 project. The MotoGP world has changed. All the big teams now use V4S. They have great power, fast acceleration, and stability in the corners. If Yamaha continues with the old M1, it will be difficult to compete. "I think now is the time for Yamaha to really focus on the V4, Miller stated firmly. He also added that although this crash was disappointing, the experience on the track provided Yamaha with valuable data to understand their bike's weaknesses. Miller hopes this incident will be a turning point, prompting Yamaha to make major decisions. "I know Yamaha's technical team, are working hard in Japan, but they have to be willing to take risks. If we want to become world champions again, we need a bike that can compete with Ducati and KTM in straight-line speed. I believe the V4 will be a big step forward for Yamaha," Miller added. Meanwhile, Fabio Quartararo, although not as outspoken as Miller, also indicated that the M1 bike needs major changes. Quartararo said he lost a lot of time exiting corners, and struggled to overtake rivals on the straights. The disappointment of these two Yamaha riders has further fueled speculation that Yamaha's V4 engine project must be accelerated, rather than waiting until 2026. Many MotoGP observers believe that if Yamaha wants to return to title contention, the decision to switch to a V4 engine must be made as soon as possible, perhaps even midway through the 2025 season. Jack Miller, known for his outspokenness and honesty, appears to be a key figure in driving major changes within Yamaha. Addressing the Australian fans, Miller emphasized his continued belief in the team's potential, but demanded a real commitment to restore Yamaha's glory days. "I love this team, they're working hard, but we all know, MotoGP now isn't about who's smoothest in the corners, but who's quickest out of the corners. Yamaha needs a bike that can fight, not just defend," he concluded firmly before leaving the paddock. Now, the public and fans await the response from Yamaha boss Lynn Jarvis and the technical team in Iwata. Will they heed the home riders' clarion call and expedite the debut of Yamaha's V4 engine ahead of schedule? One thing is certain: Jack Miller has voiced what many Yamaha riders have been feeling for a while. This outcry from Phillip Island could be the beginning of major changes within Yamaha heading into MotoGP in 2026. The atmosphere at the Phillip Island circuit in Australia was truly electric as homegrown rider Jack Miller delivered a masterful performance in the 2025 Australian MotoGP sprint race with his new team, Pramac Yamaha. The cheers of thousands of fans filling the grandstands heated the atmosphere from the moment the lights went out. All eyes were on Jack Miller, the wild boy from Townsville, who was rediscovering his form after a difficult start to the season. Starting from third place, P3, Miller shot to the front as soon as the race began. Equipped with Yamaha's latest V4 engine, reportedly enhanced with a much smoother aero system and power distribution, Miller was able to keep up with the two leading riders, Marco Bezzecchi of VR46 Ducati and Raul Fernandez of Trackhouse Aprilia. Early in the race, Miller even threatened Bezzecchi's position at turn 3, drawing cheers from the crowd. However, the battle intensified when Pedro Acosta began to rise mid-lap. The young KTM rider demonstrated incredible speed and ultimately pushed Miller to the limit. Despite Miller's best efforts, including his trademark aggressive and spectacular style, he ultimately conceded Acosta's superiority and finished the race in fourth place, P4. Miller remained satisfied and smiled as he crossed the finish line. In front of his home crowd, he knew that this performance wasn't just a matter of luck. It was a sign that the Yamaha V4 was truly coming to life. Many observers who had previously doubted Miller's decision to join Yamaha Pramac have now begun to change their minds. Since Yamaha introduced their V4 engine at the start of the 2025 season, the satellite team's performance has continued to improve sharply. Testing in Sepang and Jerez appears to be bearing fruit on the real track. In his post-race interview, Miller spoke optimistically. "I really enjoyed today's race. The bike worked incredibly well. We're not perfect yet, but the development direction is in the right direction. I feel more attuned to the bike every time I go out on track. Hopefully tomorrow in the main race, we can give the fans at home an even bigger surprise." This result also sends a serious signal to big teams like Ducati and KTM. Yamaha, which has been considered far behind for the past 2 seasons, is now starting to pose a new threat with its V4 engine, which is increasingly stable at high speeds and offers more aggressive acceleration on the straights. Meanwhile, the podium this time was filled by 3 equally impressive names. Marco Bezzecchi, VR46 Ducati, secured first place with a flawless performance. Raul Fernandez, Trackhouse Aprilia, surprised with a second-place finish, and Pedro Acosta, Gasca's KTM, closed out the podium in third with incredible speed in the final laps. But the biggest spotlight remained on Jack Miller, who performed with incredible passion in front of thousands of fans. Many called this performance the best version of Jack Miller in recent seasons. Some MotoGP analysts even speculated, is Miller's improved performance directly related to the updated Yamaha V4 engine, which now more closely resembles the characteristics of the Ducati engine? Or is it purely motivated by the emotion of competing on home turf, in front of his family and the Australian public? Whatever the answer, one thing is clear: Jack Miller and Yamaha are no longer opponents to be taken lightly. If this positive trend continues into the main race, it's not impossible that Miller will shake up the MotoGP world with a sensational podium finish on his home turf. And now, all eyes are on. Will Jack Miller cap off this weekend with a historic podium at the 2025 Australian GP? Or will Yamaha's V4 engine once again demonstrate a surprising evolution that could change the MotoGP standings this season?
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place, off the liquor that we chase. Got some egos to the face, baby I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine,